Hey guys, this is Kevin, and today I want to share with you about internet access in the Philippines. I can share my observations and experiences with that, and I'll start off with sharing with you a couple of things that are generally true about life in the Philippines. The first is this: there are some advancements being made in technology fairly quickly, I would say, but the Philippines still tends to lag behind other more developed nations in terms of technology in general, and internet is included in that. The second thing I would say is that the further you get from the cities, the more limited your options are going to be in terms of internet access. In fact, there are places that there's no internet access. So keep those two things in mind. Now, in terms of visiting the Philippines, if you're just going to visit for 2 or 3 weeks, then obviously you're not going to want to invest in any type of internet service or internet device, but there are still some options that you can take or that you can use in terms of just checking your email for a few minutes just to kind of keep up with things. One thing you can do is if you go to one of the bigger malls like SM City Manila, many of the establishments are going to have Wi-Fi. So if you bring your laptop with you or your tablet, iPad, whatever, you can get online in places like that. I would caution you with public Wi-Fi, what you may want to do is order some type of virtual private network service, VPN. They're not that expensive, and that gives you a layer of protection when using public access Wi-Fi. So that's just something to keep in mind. Another thing you can do is you can use an internet cafe. Internet cafes are widely available. They're not very expensive, and if you just need to spend 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever, checking your email, logging on to Facebook, or whatever you want to do, internet cafes are a good option for that. So those are a couple of things that come to mind in terms of just temporary internet access when you're just visiting the Philippines. Now, in terms of moving there, you're actually going to buy a house or rent there. The options that you have, it depends on the city you live in, but I'll just share with you some of the ones that I've used. When I first moved to the Philippines, what I actually did is I was using prepaid dial-up internet cards. So that tells you how much things have changed between then and now. This was 2002. And that's what I did for the first few years I was there. I don't know if people even use dial-up internet anymore in the Philippines. Probably not, but I'm not sure. But anyway, when I moved to my second apartment in Manila, I used DSL. DSL can take a while to get installed because it's obviously bundled with your telephone, and landline telephone service is not going to be fast in the Philippines. So it can take them a while to install it. But once I got it installed, generally speaking, it worked pretty well. Every once in a while it would go out and I would have to call them and ask them about it. And then after a few hours, or at most maybe a day, they would get it going again. But overall, I had pretty good experience with DSL. The second or the third place that I lived, let me make sure I'm getting this right. Yeah, my third apartment in Manila and also my apartment in Angeles, in both of those places I used a cable, and I just bundled it with my television. And if I remember correctly, in Angeles it cost 1,500 peso a month. But anyway, the cable internet that I had it worked pretty well. I have no major complaints about it. I do remember it went down every once in a while in Angeles City, but overall it was okay. And in terms of the speed, I can tell that it's faster here in the U.S., but uh, as far as just what I was doing, email, Facebook, maybe watching YouTube every once in a while, it really didn't seem particularly slow to me. You will, if you do some research, you'll see that the Philippines is supposed to be behind other parts of Southeast Asia in terms of the speed that you get, in terms of getting what you pay for as far as speed goes. But overall, I didn't have any problems with it. What some people do also is they use more wireless type options. And that can vary. You can have really small things that you put into your USB on your laptop, and you can use those, or they can involve attaching an antenna to your house, or having an antenna that you just put on your desk. And I know guys that have used those and are happy with them. That was not my preference. For me, the biggest drawback to the wireless internet was simply the fact that if you're living in an apartment and you're surrounded by concrete, then sometimes the signal has a hard time reaching you. So I did use the wireless for a couple of days when I first arrived in Angeles. I used the small thing called a globe tattoo, and I remember I could not use it downstairs just because the signal wouldn't reach me down there. I had to go upstairs near a window to get a good signal. But you may be in a situation where wireless is one of your only options, and if it is, then you just have to use whatever's available. So those are a few things that come to mind. Let me share with you, go back to the statements that I made earlier about the technology catching up. One thing that was starting to catch on when we left in 2013, this was in the works, is the type of networks they have now here in the US, where you basically have internet access on your cell phone. That was there when we left, but it seemed like it was just starting. And now that seems to be the next thing that's really taking off in the Philippines, is people having internet access on their cell phones, because we have friends and family members that are taking selfies and doing Facebook and all this kind of thing, and it's obvious they're doing it with their cell phone. One last thing, again going back to the original point, if you get out into more of the rural areas, then your internet access may be limited or even non-existent. Usually when we visited my wife's family, there was not really a reliable way to get online. And her family did not live out in the mountains or the jungle or something. It was just a small town there in the province of Pangasinan, and they just kind of lived in I guess you could call it a dead spot in terms of the internet. So when you travel around, you may encounter places where you just have a harder time getting online. But anyway, those are just some of my experiences in terms of internet in the Philippines. If you're living in a reasonably sized town or city, then you should have at least one or two pretty decent options as far as internet goes. It's not going to be as fast as it is here in the States, maybe, just depends on where you are. But in terms of just regular stuff, getting online, using email, that kind of stuff, you'll probably be okay. Now, one thing that I will add to this is, if you plan to do some type of online business, which that's something that I was doing, then you may want to think twice about living out in a rural area for the reasons I've just stated. It would have been very hard if I was living around where my wife's family was. If we were living out there, we would have had a really hard time with me doing some of my online business. In Angeles City, it was no problem whatsoever, because I had pretty good, pretty fast internet. So that's just something to keep in mind. So anyway, I hope this video has helped you. If you have a question or comment, you can leave it in the comment section below. And by the way, please be sure to like and subscribe to my video. Thanks.